Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome in to Game Over Toronto. Following a Leafs win! Max Domi gives the Leafs a 2-0 series lead over the Ottawa Senators. Let's talk about it. Welcome into Game Over Toronto. My name is Zach Payne. I will be hosting this evening's programming. Now, apologies to everyone. I know we falsely advertised this episode. Unfortunately, Lauren had to pull out at the last minute, dealing with a little bit of migraine issues, but she will be back for Game 3. And potentially Dominic Jones as well. To be determined. But for tonight, it is just me, and that's all we need, because everyone in chat, I need to know, do you have the passion after that win? The Leafs, it wasn't always pretty. Was not always pretty. In fact, the second period was downright awful. But the Leafs found a way to win the game. And in the playoffs, that is all that matters. So everyone, drop a like on the video, subscribe to Game Over Toronto for that win. Let's get into it. Now, if you're new here, if this is your first time, welcome to Game Over Toronto. The way we are doing these playoff shows is we have a very simple formula. First period, game recap. We're going to go period by period and recap the game. Then the second segment, what went well for the Leafs? Okay, what are some of the things that they're doing well in this series? And then third period, we are going to go into what is not going as well. What do the Leafs need to work on in order to ensure a series victory? But right off the bat, this is a crazy stat. The Toronto Maple Leafs have not had a 2-0 series lead since 2002. Now, the reason that is significant is, for one, that's 23 years ago. For another, I was not born yet. The Leafs have not had a 2-0 series lead in my lifetime. So this is uncharted territory. The Leafs have only won 3 game ones in the Austin Matthews era here. Both times previous to tonight that they had won, they got smacked in game 2. Now, Leafs did not exactly, not exactly play convincing hockey for the back 40, but they got the job done. So let's go ahead and get into it. First period, the Leafs come out flying. Absolutely flying. So there was a small tweak to the lineup. If you guys missed it, in the middle of game 1, there was a adjustment where Pontus Holmberg and Max Domi switched. So Holmberg went to the second line left wing spot. Max Domi slides down to the fourth line center and it is the fourth line. The bottom 6 lines are interchangeable, but Lorentz, Lawton, Yarncroke, that's the third line. Domi, Robertson, McMahon, that's the fourth line. So Domi was on the fourth line tonight. And to start off, the second line, Holmberg, Tavares, Nylander were flying. They were fantastic in the first period. They had multiple good cycle chances. Pontus Holmberg had a breakaway early on. Couldn't, do anything with it, but he had a good chance. That line was cycling well. They were getting in on the forecheck, and the Leafs as a whole were getting in on the forecheck. And then early on, that line, William Nylander, Willie Styles, shout out to Joey Ferg, sends a pass backdoor to Morgan Riley, hits off his skate, and just creeps over the line, inches over the line. Leafs take a 1-0 lead early. And if you've watched the Leafs in the playoffs for any amount of time, you know starting on time is a problem. Scoring the first goal is a problem. Through 2 games, the Leafs have done that in both games so far. So the Leafs take a 1-0 lead. Moments later, Sens get a power play. They don't do anything with it. Leafs get a power play. And again, it's off the face-off, and it's quickly in that power play. Not a lot of time for the power play to set up. Doesn't matter. So Tavares wins the draw. Had a rough night in the dot, but he wins this one. Or actually, that might have been one where Matthews won. I'd have to go back and look. That might be one where Tavares got waived and Matthews won. Matthews, by contrast, was fantastic in the dot tonight. Leafs get it. And they have this weird setup where it's Marner and Nylander at the point. Tavares is on the right flank. Matthews is in the bumper. and Nyes is at the net back door, kind of in that Zach Hyman extension of the post look. Goes down to Tavares. He's trying to hit Matthew Nyes. It goes on net. Allmark makes the save. It bounces off Nick Jensen in front and in. Leafs take a 2-0 lead. And then the rest of the first, again, you look back at game one, Senators, after going down by a couple goals, they started to pick up the pace and they end up getting one. Leafs shut it down for the rest of the first period. All right? Shut it down for the first period. In the first period, the Leafs were fantastic. And I'll pull up the stats here. In the first period, at 5-on-5, okay, the penalty kill we'll talk about later, but at 5-on-5, shot attempts, 16-12 Leafs. That's a new one. Scoring chances, 6-5 Leafs. High danger chances, 4-2 Leafs. Expected goals, 0.64 to 0.3 for the Leafs. Expected goals percent, 68%. And of course, goals 1-0 at 5-on-5. The first period was fantastic. Second period, the worst period in the series by far. Now, the shots on goal was impacted by the Sens power play, getting a lot of pucks to the net. At 5-on-5, it still wasn't great. It was better than meets the eye, but it wasn't great. But overall, the second period was just not good. So the Sens really, you knew that the Sens were going to make a push. You knew they were going to make a push. They're down 2-0. They got killed in game one on the scoreboard, not in reality. And they were going to make a push. So they start pushing. Late in the period, the Leafs almost survived the second period, shockingly. You get towards the end of the period, Sens get another power play off of a Nick Robertson, just stupid high stick. Ridiculously sloppy play by Nick Robertson. The kind of play that could jeopardize his spot in the lineup because it was stupid. And he also had he was just kind of bad tonight. He takes a penalty. On that penalty kill, Sens, moving it around, works its way down to Brady Tkachuk. Now, Brady Tkachuk, earlier in the game, he tried to do a play that his brother is known for, the little side of the net pull back between the legs and try to tuck it blocker side, and Stolarz had poked it. This time, Tkachuk gets it. He tries to go back between the legs pass. It hits the skate of Brandon Carlo, and at the pace of a snail, crawls into the net. 2-1. And you know what? You can talk about they got a bounce. The Leafs got a bounce on their power play. But also, the Leafs were begging for the Sens to score on the power play. The penalty kill was awful tonight. And it has been awful in both games. Stolarz made some big saves in game one. He made some big saves in game two. Sens finally got a bounce on the power play. They were due for a power play goal. So we go into the third. 2-1. And you know that the Leafs are going to probably park the bus. They kind of didn't. The Leafs actually played really good in the third. Now, I know what you're thinking. Zach, how on earth can you say the Leafs played good in the third period? The shot attempt, the Senators had 21 shot attempts. Here's the thing. For the first 15 minutes of that third period, the Senators had 0 shots on goal. The Leafs were they were doing a masterclass in the third period of letting the Senators shoot absolute junk at the net and blocking it. Nothing got through until, with, just over 5 minutes to play, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who I think has been really good in this series, he drops the puck back to no one. Now, if any of you are familiar with the Leafs Boston 2018-2019 games, that was the Jake Gardiner special, dropping it to nobody. Max Domi was going with the play, expecting to get a chance to break out. Instead, OEL drops it to no one. Domi's not ready for it. Leafs turn it over. Puck goes back to the point. Shot on, deflected by Adam Gaudette. Game tied. 2-2. Then, in the final minutes, Dylan Cousins, on a change, heading downhill, rips a shot. Anthony Stolarz robs him with the glove to keep the Leafs in it. A few seconds later, Matthew Nyes, nearing the end of a shift, chips it on the boards, does the old Alex Ovechkin chip and spinorama around the defender, hustles after it, wins the puck battle, gets it to Austin Matthews, drops it to Calle Jarnkrok in a prime shooting spot, blocked by Artem Zub. An incredible block by Artem Zub. Not much, like a little bit of anxiety at the end of the third, but we go to overtime. In overtime, Senators, they're moving early. Timmy Stützle, swinging around the net. Matthews makes a good block on that play. Great job to stay with him. Matthews has been fantastic defensively in this series. Leafs get a 3-on-2 with Domi, Robertson, McMahon. Domi takes a shot. Love seeing Domi take initiative. Gets stopped. Okay, back the other way. Senators get a chance. Simone Benoit. Offensive defenseman Simone Benoit breaks up the play. Heads the other way. Gets into the offensive zone. Drops it to Domi, who gets around Dylan Cousins. Drake Batherson completely whiffs on the puck. And Max Domi, in the slot, calls game. Leafs win. Now, that game was not perfect. The first period, fantastic by the Leafs. The second period, fantastic by the Senators. The third period, peak Berube hockey with the lead. The Leafs don't allow any quality shots on net. The Sens they earned the bounce in the second period. They get it in the third. And then in the last 4 minutes, the Leafs start to come undone a little bit. They reset, refocus in overtime, and they get the job done. Now, let's check in with you guys. How are we doing tonight? So, Terry M, I assume that and David W, I assume you guys were talking during the game. Hopefully Leafs wake up for the third of this game is over. They played their brand of hockey, go to OT anyways, but they win. To Terry M's claim, this game isn't done. As much as I remain concerned about the longer extra time goes, the more likely the Sens will tie the series up. Is what it is. Huge win by the Leafs. Let's go. Luke, let's inhale sharply. Go, man. Terry M. Leafs got lucky on this one and should thank their lucky stars. Hey, thank Anthony Stolarz. He was fantastic in that second period and fantastic in this game. Music for Al. Didn't know who had a bigger smile, Max or his dad. Yeah, everyone wants to talk about Brady Tkachuk having his parents in the stands. How about Ty Domi? Sam Stone, Max definitely shutting up the haters tonight. Wonder what they're doing right now. I wonder, Sam. I wonder what what could the Max Domi haters be up to tonight? Huh? Do you guys know any Max Domi haters? I sure don't. As I've always said, Max Domi is my favorite player. Goaltending came up huge again. Domi apologies to everyone, including themselves. Maximum domination. Benny with a primary assist on an OT playoff goal. Anaheim must be kicking themselves. I'm kicking myself. Who would have predicted that? New format. We just scream Leafs win for 45 minutes. The Leafs looked like they stopped pressing and fell back to the Sens attack. They did in the second for sure. Leafs won a game they didn't really deserve, but I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, they win. That's all that matters. Every dump, it was just that, a dump of a shot. They didn't hunt or hound as Berube said they would. They did, just not consistently. You could see the difference. Like in the first period, the Leafs were hounding everything. And actually, we should also mention, in the first period, the Senators were so sloppy with their breakouts. The Leafs, at least 3 or 4 times, just in the neutral zone, Sens were breaking out. Oh, thank you very much. Back in the other way. Like, I know Jarnkrok had a steal, Holmberg had a steal, Tavares had a steal. Like, the Leafs were doing a fantastic job as the Sens were breaking out of stealing it and breaking it right back in. We should thank the Sens for making the Leafs not go back to 2 or less goals in a game. Oh my Lord. So yeah, if you guys missed last show, we talked about this, but heading into these playoffs, the Leafs had gone 14 straight playoff games, scoring 2 goals. They scored 2 goals or less in 13 of 14 playoff games. 3 goals or less in all of them. They score 6 in game 1, 3 in game 2 is 3 goals is average, right? You can win with 3 goals. Stolarz has given up 2 in each of the first 2 games. You expect the Leafs to be able to score 3 goals a game. So far, so good. Robertson took one of the stupidest penalties a hockey player could take. Yep. Just not good. Leafs have the goaltending to support their 2-0 series lead. I liked the hit Stolarz gave Grigg after chopping him. Yeah. And Sam, how did you manage to get 2 messages retracted? How are you managing that, man? You're probably chirping me. I know you were chirping me offline, but I should also mention Anthony Stolarz. So okay, let's get out ahead of this, right? Sens fans are mad about that, right? And we can be honest. In game one, I sat here and I was honest and I said the Leafs were getting the benefit of the doubt with the calls and they were more disciplined. The Senators deserved to take more penalties. I don't know if they deserve to take 4 more penalties or give the Leafs 4 more power play opportunities rather in game one. There were a lot more than 6 penalties for the Sens, but there were a lot more than 2 for the Leafs with all the end of the game shenanigans. In this game, the power play opportunities were 3-1 in favor of Ottawa. So the complaints about Ridley Greig, and so if you missed it, Anthony Stolarz, Ridley Greig, they are going at it. And by that, I mean Anthony Stolarz was giving it to Greig in the blue paint. He was chopping at him, cross-checking him, pushing him, knocks him down. The refs call both. Here's the thing. I can sit here and say Anthony Stolarz was the only one who deserved a penalty on that play. That is a completely fair thing to say. At the same time, because of how the penalties were tonight compared to game one, complaining about the refs, I don't heed those words as much from Sens fans as I did in game one. I understood the complaints in game one to an extent. Now, some of the people on Twitter were getting a little out of hand in game one. In game two, they don't get to complain nearly as much. You can complain about that all you want, but at the end of the day, the power plays were 3-1 for Ottawa. What more do you want? Send subreddit ecstatic with Batherson. Dude, that was such a bad whiff on that overtime goal. Such a bad whiff by Batherson. Sens had the ref calls tonight. They got more power plays. It is what it is. As Leaf fans, you should not have been expecting this to go any other way. The Leafs had 1 power play they scored. Good for them. They're 4 for 7 in the series. Over 50%. That is insane. It's not sustainable, but is what it is. Greg ran into the goalie in the blue paint without being pushed. Penalty. Look, Stolarz also was the one who initiated. If you mean game one, yeah, he should have got called in game one, is what it is. Game two, Stolarz definitely was getting his pound of flesh. So I understand to an extent. With that being said, let's go ahead and turn it over to our second segment. As I do, a reminder to hit like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto for this playoff edition of Game Over. Again, the Leafs take a 2-0 series lead. Let's go. Now this second segment, this is about what the Leafs did well. We are talking positively right now. They're up 2-0, woohoo. Whatever you have to say about the Leafs, let's focus on the positive first. So what are you happy with? What are the Leafs doing well for you right now in your eyes? Let's focus on that right now. Number one, obviously, we have to give our flowers to the power play. Have to give our flowers. 4 for 7 in this series. I never thought the Leafs would score 4 power play goals in a series. That's honestly crazy. Never in a million years did I think that would happen. So the fact that we're there in game 2 is insane. Marc Savard, I was super critical of him in the first month or 2 of the season. Yeah, I'm real quiet now. So the power play, the 5-forward power play has been a revelation. It has been, the Leafs are pioneers of it all of a sudden because the LA Kings, if you guys caught game 1 of that carnival against the Oilers, the Kings are running 5-forward power plays now. That 5-on-3. They didn't score on it, but they tried. They did the 5-forward, and I was like, hey, Leafs did that first. So that's cool. Marner as the the defenseman on that, absolutely fantastic. I don't love Matthews being in the bumper off the faceoff play. I don't know what I think they're just trying to make a jam play at the net where they throw it on and then Nyes and Matthews and Tavares just kind of converge on the net to see if they can jam one in. Works out tonight. We'll see how it goes going into Ottawa. Number 2, after a bad game 1 in which a fluky goal he scored covered up some warts in his game, Morgan Rielly was much better tonight. That first goal aside, that was great. Activating in the offensive zone, that's what we want to see. Morgan Rielly was a factor in the neutral zone. He was a factor in the offensive zone. He was much more impactful with his skating and transporting the puck. That's what we need from him. Brandon Carlo is one of 2 Leafs defenders. Well, actually, considering Benoit got a primary assist on the OT winner, maybe the only defender who is genuinely bad with the puck on his stick. That is like, I love Brandon Carlo. You guys know this. I'm a huge Brandon Carlo fan. Love what he brings to this team. Super physical, super tough, stops the cycle. With the puck on his stick, though, not good. Don't love. Do not like. That being said, Morgan Rielly is the transporter on that pairing. If Morgan Rielly is able to transport the puck like he did in this game, that is a massive difference for the Leafs in this series. And as Matthew says, the D is having a big impact. The Leafs defense, all three pairs, I feel comfortable with when they're on. I don't, like, obviously you want McCabe Tanev against the Senators' top line. You want that. That being said, I'm comfortable with any situation. The only situation I'm not comfortable with is the Domi line against one of the Senators' top 6 lines. If Domi's out against Stützle or Cousins, I'm not happy with that, regardless of the D pair. But if you can get, like, even Benoit OEL, if you have Benoit OEL out there with Tavares, for example, and you're against the Cousins line, yeah, why not? That's fine. It's not going to work out every time, but the Leafs finally have 3 stable pairings. I've loved what I've seen from the defense. I don't know what the analytics are. The Corsi is going to be all over the place. Don't pay attention to the Corsi. Pay attention to the quality of chances. Again, third period. The Senators, it took them 15 minutes to get a shot. I know they tied it. I know they got chances at the end of the third. They very well could have won it. The Leafs didn't allow a shot in the third period of a game they were defending the entire time for 15 minutes. It didn't go their way this time. If they play like that every time they have a third period lead, this series will be fine. So, yeah. Showing up on time is my big bunch of flowers to give the Leafs 2 solid opening periods in a row. Yes, please. Absolutely, Luke. The Leafs have been fantastic starting these 2 games. They've set the tone physically. They've set the tone with offensive chances. They've set the tone with goals. It's been fantastic. And that is the biggest thing. Like, going to Ottawa, I don't know how this is going to go. I know everyone's talking about, 7 home games for the Leafs. It's not going to be quite as extreme as you're used to. It'll still be like 40% Leaf fans probably. But if you can quiet that 60% of the building that's Sens fans early in the game, get physical, set the tone, maybe score a goal. Oh man, if the Leafs score first in game 3, the world is going to be. We talked about pressure being on the Leafs in these playoffs. And one of the things I've said is the Senators need to win one of the first 2 games to plant the seed of doubt for the Leafs. And the other thing I said was if the Leafs can win both games on home ice, all of a sudden the Senators are going to be on their heels and you can control where this series goes. Going into game 3, Ottawa is firmly on their heels, and we are going to see the most desperate version of the Ottawa Senators in game 3. So I'm expecting Ottawa to come out firing in game 3. The Leafs are probably going to have to weather an early storm, but if the Leafs can score the first goal, man, it's going to look real good. We're going to feel real good. Oh yeah, David W. also mentions this. The Leafs have gotten 3 goals from their back end in 2 games. 2 from Morgan Rielly, one of them fluky, but I don't care. It's still a goal from the defenseman. And look, the Leafs were horrible at getting offense from the back end in the regular season. If they get offense from the back end in the playoffs, that completely changes the dynamic of this team and the offensive capabilities they have. Absolutely, that's an X factor for the Leafs. Okay, what's going on here? If you mean the hit with Greg, it was definitely a penalty on Stolarz for interference. I don't know what you guys are talking about something. I don't know. Why am I seeing so much Oilers talk? I'm sorry, man. This is the Leafs show. I'm going to turn this over to our third segment now. This is going to be the more negative part. Of course, if you have positive things to say, we're up 2-0. We have a lot of things to feel good about right now. But we're going to criticize them now. It's okay to criticize your favorite things. So we got to critique the Leafs a little bit here. And poke some holes in their game to see where they can improve to make sure they can come out firing in Game 3. Now, before we do that, a reminder to hit like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto and go check out the other Game Over channels. Game Over Ottawa, I'm pretty sure they're live right now. Go, go make sure that they're doing okay. They're good people over there. So go subscribe to Game Over Ottawa. Game Over Montreal. Montreal's in the playoffs. They went to overtime, fell short to the Capitals in Game 1. Can they bounce back for Game 2? Go subscribe to Game Over Montreal for Game Overs there. Game Over Winnipeg. We are working on something. I actually don't know what's going on with that channel. We want to get shows going for Winnipeg. I promise. So yeah, and then Game Over Edmonton, right? That's the other team. Game Over Edmonton as well for the Oilers-Kings recap. That series was a carnival in Game 1. We'll see if it keeps going. Go Kings, go. That being said, we gotta criticize the Leafs, but before I criticize the Leafs, I have to criticize myself because I've been on record a lot of times this season regarding one Max Domi. Now, I have said good things. For example, I said he would bring his best efforts in the playoffs. Now, that hasn't necessarily been true, but boy, did he show up in a big moment. However, I do owe an apology to Maximus Domington. I have been the biggest hater this season of Max Domi. I said that the Leafs should have kept Tyler Bertuzzi over Max Domi. Tyler Bertuzzi didn't score that goal, now did he? So Max Domi, thank you, sir. And I apologize for my transgressions. I apologize for my lack of passion. And thank you for that goal, because it was really, really exciting. Okay, let's get more serious here. What are the problems with the Leafs? One, they are relying on Anthony Stolarz a little too much. Now, the Leafs having goaltending is going to be a primary reason to have passion and have belief that they can go on a deep run. That being said, the second period was a little much. But the biggest offender, is the penalty kill. The penalty kill has been a joke in this series. They are lucky that the Sens haven't scored on every single power play. If there was one area that I would focus on for the Leafs, it is the penalty. Only practice the penalty kill. Because, oh my Lord, was it horrible tonight. The Sens got, I think, like 3 or 4 legit good chances on their first one, 3 or 4 legit good chances on their second one, and then the third one, they get the bounce that they rightfully earned with how good they looked on their first 2 opportunities. The penalty kill, they're at 75% right now. Nope, they are at 80% right now. Very good. 80%'s a little below where we want to be, but 80%, you could get away with 80%. 80%'s fine. If your power play is clicking at over 50%, that's fine. The Leafs are winning the special teams battle. Again, the power play opportunities were 3-1 in favor of Ottawa. The power play goals, 1-1. But you have to stop with this stagnant box where the forwards, it's just Matthews are going to start. I hate that, but forward comes out, it cycles, forward goes back to the middle, other forward comes out. That the Leafs are just too reactionary, they're too soft on the entries, and they're too passive. The Senators have one very clear objective: shrink the box and get the puck to the net and then create jam plays in front. They want to get it down to Kachuk. They want to get down to Batherson. They want to get it down to Cousins. Like, they want to just get it close to the net and then just make it a dog pile. So the Leafs have to, the defenders, what will often happen is, so let's say it starts on the right point. The forward on the right will go up. The other forward will stay in the middle and play in between the point and the bumper. A defender will creep up, and then the other defender will swing out a little bit. There's potential for the Sens to start exploiting the backdoor play on the penalty, on the power play. It just needs work. And to me, the key is aggression. The Leafs have to be more aggressive on the penalty kill because they're just allowing plays to be made too easily. They're allowing these cross-seam passes to happen. They're allowing the Senators to set up. They're allowing zone entries too easily. The best penalty kill, the best the Leafs have looked on the PK this season and in this series so far, is when they're pushing the Sens. Got to do more of that. The other thing is, look, this is just a side effect of Berube hockey. The Leafs are parking the bus a little too aggressively, though. In the second period, like we said, the Sens were going to come out with a push, and the Leafs parked the bus. They were like, we're up 2-0. We have the lead. We'll defend. And they abandoned the idea of offense. To their credit, they were a lot better in the third at actually playing offensively. They parked the bus too early and too aggressively. That's another thing. In the third period, it was working. They were doing it a lot better in the third. In the second, it was just a fire drill. Way too many sequences in which the Senators were getting 40, 50, 60 seconds in the offensive zone. Were they necessarily generating the best chances at 5-on-5? No. But as we saw on the Gaudette goal, it doesn't necessarily, like, just because they're firing on a bunch of junk from the outside doesn't mean it's not still dangerous, because if you have bodies in front, you can get a deflection. You can get a screen that prevents Stolarz from seeing it. And Stolarz, we know his rebounds are, he was better in this game with the rebounds, but still not great. Then what else? The middle six, they had the Tavares line had a great first period. They were okay in the second and third, not as good. The Domi line, good offensively. Bobby McMahon is actually one that I want to challenge here. Bobby McMahon has not been a factor at all. I talked about how Bobby McMahon needs to be on line 2. Pontus Holmberg earned that spot over McMahon with his play. Bobby McMahon has just been way too invisible, considering he was a 20-goal scorer. You need to get him going. The third line was good, like that. And then Nyes, Matthews, Marner, way too many shifts where they didn't look like the best line in this series. That has to be the best line in this series. Every time Nyes, Matthews, and Marner come over the boards, Sens fans should be trembling. They should be like, oh shit. Oh no, like we are in trouble here. Instead, I was talking to a Sens buddy tonight, and we were going into overtime, and he said, the player I'm most scared of is Nylander. That should never be. I love William Nylander. But you're telling me Matthews, Marner, and Nyes isn't the most threatening thing to you? They need to be, like, to justify playing together, they need to be dominant. And a little too much, like, they're good. They've been playing good, but they haven't been playing great. Matthew Nyes has been very good. I've loved Nyes' play. Matthews and Marner. Now Marner hit the post in this game. My God, that would have been great. But Matthews and Marner, come on. We've talked about this before. We just got to elevate a little bit. And honestly, after the first period, I posted that for as good as that first period was, the Leafs still have another gear they can hit. And I think that gear that they can hit all comes down to Matthews and Marner. If Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner can go from good to great, it's going to trickle down. Suddenly, if you can, going into Ottawa, I fully expect the Sens to match up the Sanderson pair and Pinto line against Matthews. Matthews needs to tilt that matchup. There is no excuse not to win that matchup decisively. I respect Shane Pinto in that checking line. I respect the hell out of Jake Sanderson. You need to make life miserable for them. With that being said, we got some comments here. High shots is not bad defense if you leave no open players. Stolarz will stop any shot he can see within reason, yes. The D stop breaking the puck out, causing more dump and nothing. That's the other thing, is this death to the stretch pass. Death to the stretch pass. We got to have some options in the zone for guys like Brandon Carlo who can't pass. McMahon played much better on the second line. I would have tried him up there with Domi, Pontus, and then had a Domi, Pontus, and Robertson line. Yeah, I mean, if that's your fourth scoring line, I don't hate it. But honestly, Holmberg was good. Holmberg was good in that second line, so I'm totally fine. I fully expect the lineup. The only lineup change that I think could happen is Pacioretty in for Robertson on the fourth line. But aside from that, I think the lineup is going to be mostly the same. I don't think they're going to tweak the top 9 at all. I know that the line is listed as the fourth line, but whatever. Willie or Matthews need to try to be like Draisaitl and get goals almost every game. Well, I mean, yeah, that'd be great. But I mean, Matthews would probably score every game if he had Connor McDavid setting him up for wide open looks. So the first Oilers goal last night was like McDavid's just like doing his thing, draws like every defender to him, and then Draisaitl's just standing alone back to like, come on, man. Come on. But yeah, you need like Matthews. It's time. It's time for a Matthews goal. He has 3 points in 2 games. That's very good. Very good. Now, I mean, it was a secondary assist tonight, but hey, he kept the play alive and it led to a goal. Marner has 4 points. Tavares has 4 points. Nylander has 3 points. The big four have been good. They've been good. There's another level, though. And that's going to be the difference between the Leafs being in close games like this or being in blowouts like the first one. Even if the game was actually even and Ullmark just had a bad game, whatever. If the Leafs can just, the big boys need to generate more elite looks and they need to capitalize on those. With that being said, let's turn it over to our fourth and final segment. Of course, a reminder to hit like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto and leave your questions down in the chat. This is the time for any questions or comments about the Leafs, about this series, about the playoffs in general. What do you want to see from the Leafs in Game 3? And of course, there's also a link, if you want to support the Game Over Network, you can go check out our Patreon. That'll be in the link down below. Again, that Patreon, we have both free and paid tiers. If you want access to our Discord server, go check out the Patreon link in the description box down below. So while I wait for your guys' questions and comments, I'm just going to check the post-game. I'm just going to check Twitter, basically. I want to see what's being talked about. Let's see what is being talked about. Travis Green says there's no panic. We probably deserved a better fate tonight. Looking forward to next game. I mean, is what it is. The Leafs played a great game, a great first period. So again, that the Leafs played bad for like a good majority of that game, and they still won. They still won. So imagine what'll happen if they play good. Anthony Stolars, this is what you live for. Yeah, man, I love this guy. Marner saying it's going to get even harder. Yep, it is. I mean, he's not wrong. Stolars, I've taken quite a few penalties in my day. That's hilarious. Love it. Love it from Anthony Stolars. I want to see, has Berube talked yet? I don't know if Berube has talked yet. I'm going to find out, though. Brady Kachuk saying it's been a long time coming for Sens fans, talking about being excited for Game 3. Well, you better win. Because suddenly if it becomes a 3-0 series, woo! This is a good one. Max Domi. We're just getting started, so it's going to feel even better as we go. Actually, you know what? I can play this audio. I can't play the video, but I can play this audio. Let's listen to Max Domi. Hold on. This will be bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's playoff hockey, I mean, they're a great team. Obviously, Greener's got them pretty dialed in over there. So, I mean, they gave us all we could handle. And once you get to overtime, anything can happen. And found a way to get a lucky one. But big win. We'll go on to the next one now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, buddy. Max Domi, man. Max frickin' Domi. I can't believe that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Just wait. Robertson, big goal coming up. Is what it is. If the Leafs were facing Florida, how mad would you be if they had to wait for as long as the Lightning did? I'm assuming you mean to start the playoffs. I would be annoyed because that gives the Panthers, who are very banged up, some extra time to heal up. Now, it should be noted, though, that the Lightning can't complain because they got absolutely smacked in Game 1. They lost 6-2. The Panthers went 3 for 3 on the power play. You can complain, but if you lose like that, you are just going to look like a crybaby. So I would be annoyed, but at the end of the day, I would be more annoyed at that result than I would be at the NHL for scheduling the way that they did. The Leafs got from the Matthews margin until OT. No point production from anyone else. I mean, you got a depth goal from Max Domi. That's a depth goal. Like that's and you got 6 goals in Game 1. Like You got scoring throughout the lineup. Like, yeah, the big four had multi-point nights, but you had the fourth or the third line and third pair combined for a goal. Like, you did score in game one. I'm not worried about scoring that much. Going into this game, it was obvious that this team is different. After that second period and blowing a 2-goal lead, is it still obvious? Okay. This team is different, but not in the sense that they're going on a deep run. Like, I'm not banging that drum. I will say this team is good enough to win this series. They're halfway there. You just got to win two. You got to go 2-3 in the back five here. I'm not necessarily banging the drum saying they will go on a deep run. What I will say is if the Leafs do go on to win this series, the second round against the winner of Tampa and Florida is the real conference finals. I don't think any Metro team is serious this year. And I would be shocked if a non-Atlantic team was in the Cup finals from the East. So if you're playing Florida, buckle up, because that is the toughest, that is the worst matchup for the Leafs is the Florida Panthers. If it's Tampa, buckle up because you beat them in 2023. And you've beat them in the regular season a lot over the last 2 years. They are not going to take that lightly, and that would be a long series as well. So to answer your question, Luke, I'm not blowing the 2-goal lead, whatever. It is what it is. A power play goal when your PK is horrible and they got a deflection goal. It's going to happen. You won anyways. The Leafs are still fantastic in terms of their record when leading after 2. They won the game. They dug in and they found a way to win. That's all that you can ask for. So is it concerning? Sure. There are things to clean up. There are different trends you can look at that we've talked about today. But I wouldn't say it's obvious this team is different, but I think there is definitely, this is a game that last year they lose. This is a game that in previous seasons they lose. These are this team loses these type of games way too often. And they won tonight. So do with that information what you will. Do you think the Leafs' past experience of losing will cost them Game 3 in Ottawa, or is there enough new blood, including the coach, to push them? I don't think if the Leafs are to lose Game 3, it won't be because of their playoff demons. I'll say that. If they lose Game 3, it's going to be because Ottawa is down 2-0 in the series. They are going to have a boost from playing their first home playoff game. That crowd, all the Sens fans that are in the building are going to be super amped up for that game, and they're going to come out flying if the Leafs are unable to weather the early storm. And let's say the Sens go on to win, it's going to be because they are playing desperate. We are going to see the most desperate version of the Senators on Thursday night. It's just a fact. So we'll see. I trust that Berube will have them ready. We'll just have to wait and see, man. We will have to wait and see. So I'll give you guys our last couple of seconds if you have any last questions. But in the meantime, thank you so much, everyone, for being so active in the chat and commenting throughout. It's always a joy to talk to you guys, and I'm so glad that we get to enjoy this Leafs playoff win together. We will be back on Thursday. It will definitely be me. It will probably be Lauren and potentially Dominic Jones joining us as well. We will see. He's just getting back from Japan, so we'll see if he's up for it. But he's been watching the games. He's been tuned in, so don't worry. Dom is still plugged in. He will be back at some point this round. But consider him day to day. It's the playoffs. He's I don't know. He might be here. He might not. Lauren, she might be here. She might. We'll see. It's the playoffs. We don't tip our hand. But in the meantime, thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto. If you're listening on a podcasting platform, make sure to follow and leave a review as well. You can find me on Twitter at Zach Payne 41, on Bluesky at Zach Payne 41, and on YouTube at Zach Payne 41. Make sure to follow the Game Over Network on all social media channels as well at the Game Over Network. Again, go subscribe to all the Game Over channels. We have one for every Canadian market. Obviously, not every Canadian team is in the playoffs right now, but we still have them. So go check out the playoff channels. Go check out the guys that weren't so fortunate to be here. That is going to be it for this stream. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. Cheers.